we are going to talk about replacing the RV electrical converter charger. Now, this is sometimes a little bit daunting, but I'm going to take you through it step by step so that you feel extremely confident in being able to do this. So the converter is one of the most essential pieces in the RV. What it does is it changes over your 120 volt power, your outlet power, into battery power. Now, the battery power is important because it runs the brains of the operation for most appliances. Your refrigerator, your air conditioner, your water heater, all your lights, your water pump, all of that runs off of 12 volt power. And so the converter makes all of that possible so that you're not just running off of your battery, but that you're actually running off of the converter when you're plugged in to shore power. So the converter is underneath typically the fuse panel box. That is one style that you're going to see in a second. It's called an open style converter. And the second style is an enclosed metal box. They both do the same exact thing. They're just set up a little bit differently. The open style is typically going to be mounted underneath the fuse panel box, and it will tie directly into the 120 volt side, as you'll see in a second. The closed box converter is usually on motorhomes, fifth wheels, some larger travel trailers, and what that will do is it'll plug into its own separate plug or plug directly into the back of your fuse panel box. And so turn off the power. If you don't see it underneath here, turn off the power and then look into the compartment because it's usually close by, either behind or near the fuse panel box. So now we're going to go through the step-by-step of changing out the converter so that you don't have to call a tech the next time. We start by removing the screws. And the outer panel. The next thing you'll want to do is turn off the main power. Use your voltage indicator to show that there's no electricity going to where we need it. Remove the screws. This is your converter charger. It takes 120 volt power and changes it into 12 volt battery power, as well as recharges your batteries. Then what we will do is grab a screwdriver, follow the cables that come from the converter, loosen up the ground bus bar cable, taking the ground wire out, following the neutral wire, loosening, pulling that down, and then there's the hot wire. Follow that in. Going to this 15 amp breaker. You can use a flathead or a square bit screwdriver. Loosen that from the breaker. Remove. And usually those are connected. Undo from the main power cable. And feeding back through. Now that is the AC 120 volt side. Next we need to come over to the battery side. Same thing, we're following the cables up. What we're typically going to look at is on this side. And then we will follow this. Usually I just pull on it to see where it is going. Loosen it up. Remove. Now, if it is challenging to get those out, what you can do is go to the bottom here. There are tabs that are holding on the panel. Push the plastic tab down on the bottom, and usually the whole thing will slide out, exposing those batteries or battery lines. You unhook them, pull them through. Now the converter is completely separated. We'll grab our new converter and repeat the process backwards. You can tighten it down just to get it in place. There's little gaps where the wires need to go. Tighten it. Now to put the circuit board back in, you want to start at the top and then push into place on the bottom. You'll hear it click into place and see the black tab in its right spot. Then go ahead and take your screwdriver to screw back in. There is a specific torque setting, but you can just go hand tight and then a little eighth of a turn further, hand tight, eighth of a turn further. Now we'll take the AC side, feed it through. Your green is your ground. Hand tight, eighth of a turn. Same thing for the neutral. This is the hot line going to the breaker as well as feeding onto the main power. We'll feed that through. You can put the wire nut onto those two ends. And then feed this wire connector into the breaker. And then using some needle nose pliers to fit that in. Tighten up. Fit the wires back in. We're going to put the converter back in. Put our screws. Tighten these down. Now the converter is installed. Put the outer cover back on. Tighten. And then go ahead and flip your main breaker back on. You can hear the converter go on, and that's finished up.